Hey, welcome to Faith Fascia, the YouTube channel where we dive into healing in Scripture. My name is John. I'm a faith-inspired CFT practitioner in Midcoast, Maine, and today's episode comes to you from my children. Um, I've got two sons, and they have been singing so much lately, which is great because they used to be so shy and never sing. But we have been listening to a lot of worship music, and they are just loving it, and it's great. And one of the songs they've been singing is Honey in the Rock. There's honey in the rock, water in the stone, and it's beautiful to hear, right? It's the best noise to fill my house, and I just absolutely love it. But as they're singing it over and over and over, I'm thinking like honey from the rock. I mean, if that doesn't scream fascia, if that doesn't scream healing, that's unbelievable. So today's episode, honey from the rock, sweetness in the struggle. And let's dive into what does that mean? What does honey in the rock even mean? We see in Psalm 81 verse 16, he should have fed them also with the finest of the wheat, and with honey out of the rock should I have satisfied thee, right? It's a metaphor for the unexpected provision and sweetness and satisfaction that God offers us, even in the hardest places, right? Think of a rock. It's hard, barren, and unyielding. It's heavy, right? But God says he can bring honey from it. God says, I can give you nourishment and sweetness from that. And it speaks to his goodness, even in difficulty. And when we bring that back to fascia, we think of fascia as a rock, right? The hard, it's bound, it's stuck, it's unyielding, and it's heavy. Emotional trauma in the body, heavy. Physical trauma in the body, heavy. Mental trauma, heavy, right? It's the rock. But God promises to bring honey from the rock. He promises us to give us sweetness in the barren, the heavy, and the unyielding, right? So even in those very places of the body where we have restrictions and strain, we can have healing, release, and revelation, right? So how do we get there? How do we see, what is the purpose of these rocks? Is it just to weigh us down? Is it, you know, or is it part of a trial? And we know that God strengthens us in trials, right? And in James chapter 1, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, right? Knowing this and trying of your faith worketh patience, and let patience have her perfect work, right? Be patient and let the trial do what the trial's meant to do. Let the rock show you what it's supposed to show you, right? In Second Corinthians, and he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. That's Second Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. Like, in your weakness, I'll show you my strength. In your rocks, I'll show you honey. I'll show you sweetness. In your struggle, I'll show you the flowing of delicious sweet honey. And we look at pain and tension and how it often reveals the restrictions and the dysfunction and stored trauma in our bodies, right? And that stored trauma, heavy, just like a rock. And it can sit with us, more so with adults. I truly feel that, when working on adults, it's those emotional traumas that sit deeper and they sit longer in the body for a lot of things, right? Because we don't want to feel what that emotional trauma is. We're afraid of it. We don't want it to come back. The body and the fascia stored it for a reason. It buried it down deep for a reason. But the problem is it's still in there doing its thing. It's the rock. It's weighing you down, and it's creating all those restrictions in your body. So when we work through those hard places and those emotional traumas, we start to see that flow of healing, that flow of honey and sweetness start to erupt. And we see that chronic issues, they might not be punishment. They could just be an invitation. And God uses these trials to refine us and restore us. It's not just because he wants to see us suffer. There's a reason for it. And we know in Romans chapter 8, verse 28, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose, right? Like, everything lines up for those who love God, for those who put their faith in God and trust his word. Everything works for them in good, right? So start thinking about the positive side and have faith and believe that no matter what's going on, no matter what rock you're carrying, no matter what weight is weighing you down, God's going to reveal sweetness. God's going to pull honey from that rock. He's going to give you water from the stone. And then when we start to look at fascia and how it binds and stores trauma, and it tightens around stress, right? It hardens like a rock. Well, warm touch, hydration, time, it all releases it. It reveals the mobility and the freedom and the sweetness. We've all had those good releases, right? When it hurts so good. And it's, oh, yes, right? You ever had a deep tissue massage or even just did some weightlifting, right? And it's that good strain. It's that good weight. And the next day you're a little bit like, oh, tender, but it's good. You like it. You want more of it. And there's sweetness in the rock. And our bodies store those hard things like grief, fear, and anger. But healing uncovers the grace in all of those places. And God doesn't leave us alone. He meets us in those spots. He doesn't always remove the rock, but he reveals the honey that's within it. Think of Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 13. He made him ride on the high places of the earth, that he might eat the increase of the fields, and he made him to suck honey out of the rock and oil out of the flinty rock, right? Even in the journey, and it's uphill, it's hard, it's tough. God promises nourishment, sweetness, and oil, anointment, healing. It's absolutely beautiful. And then we start to think about, the chronic stuff, the chronic rocks, those rocks that we've been carrying for a long time, chronic pain and long-term tension, emotional scars. They don't have to be, negative. They don't have to be stuff that we dwell on and that we fear. They can be places of sacredness, right? When we yield those to God, when we say, God, please show me what this is. Show me the honey in the rock. Show me the water in the stone. Reveal it to me. What is this all for? Your body isn't failing you. It's inviting you to pause, listen, and return to the great physician. And just as fascia is worked and freed, we experience that deep emotional, spiritual release, right? We have those memories. We have clarity. Think of those aha moments. I think of those people who have seen, even just one time, and then find out that they've gone on to have these massive revelations, and completely changed everything. It's awesome to see people on the table receive deliverance, to witness miracles on the table and have people immediately be freed of whatever it was that was plaguing them. But it's even wilder to see, 2 weeks later, get a text or an email from somebody and say, like, you have no idea what happened to me after that session. I went on and got baptized, or, I reached out to, my estranged parents, or I've decided to go to massage school. I have a client who, had received a session and it changed her life so much and freed her up in such a way that she's now going to massage school so that she can do this for people. There's honey in the rock, and there's a lot that can come from freeing up that weight, from freeing up that stored energy and that tight fascia. And not all rocks are curses. They're not all, weight that we have to bear. Sometimes they're just context, right? It's a thing that allows Christ to show up in our life. Think of the blind man. Who sinned, him or his parents, And Jesus said, neither. He was born this way so that I could now perform a miracle on him, right? Sometimes we carry these rocks so that it gives Christ a reason to come. It allows the miracle to be performed. Think about, the driest, hardest places, right? The deserts. And God will provide even in the desert. Think of Isaiah chapter 43. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. He will provide for us even in the wilderness, right? The places of isolation and abandonment. He will provide for us even in the hardest, driest places, barren places like the deserts. And sometimes that new thing, that relief, it's more than that. It's revelation. And that's even sweeter, right? It's even better than, having it removed than to have it be the catalyst that changes everything for us. So think about it. Where is the rock in your body, your mind, or your life right now? Can you ask God to reveal the honey that's hidden inside of it? Let God do the work, not just of relief, but of revelation. Embrace the weight. Embrace the sweetness in the struggle. And know that He will satisfy you with honey from the rock. Hope this video blesses you. I hope you're having a great day. I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to seeing you again on the next one. All right. In the meantime, stay blessed by the best. Thanks.